When a desperate cry for help echoed through the night, no one expected a millionaire to be the one to answer it. It was a stormy night in a quiet neighborhood just outside the city. Winds howled through the streets, rattling window panes and swaying power lines. Inside a modest apartment complex, 25-year-old Lily clutched her belly, her contractions growing more intense with each passing minute. She was alone, abandoned by the baby's father and estranged from family. The due date had come early, and she hadn't expected to go into labor that night. With trembling hands, Lily dialed 911, but the line was busy. Emergency services were overwhelmed by storm-related incidents. She tried again, and again. Nothing. Her phone battery blinked at 5%. Panic set in. She opened her apartment door and screamed down the hall for help. Lights flickered and thunder rumbled above. No answer. Most neighbors had evacuated or gone elsewhere to wait out the storm. She stumbled down the hallway, desperate. That's when she saw headlights outside, cutting through the heavy rain. A sleek black car pulled into the lot, gliding to a stop as if drawn there by fate. Inside the car sat a man named Adrian Cole, a 43-year-old tech millionaire known for his reclusive nature. Adrian had grown up poor in this very neighborhood, but hadn't returned in years. That night, though, something had drawn him back, an unshakable feeling he couldn't explain. As he stepped out of the car, umbrella in hand, he heard her. "Please, help me!" Lily cried, collapsing on the wet pavement. Adrian rushed over, dropping his umbrella and catching her just before she hit the ground. He didn't hesitate. "I'm getting you to a hospital," he said firmly. Lily could barely process his face, but she heard the sincerity in his voice. For the first time that night, she felt something close to hope. Adrian lifted her into the back seat of his car and sped off into the storm, unaware that this single act of kindness would not only save a life, but also unravel a story far deeper than either of them could have imagined. Rain pounded the windshield as Adrian gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white with tension. The hospital was over 15 miles away, and the storm had flooded several main roads. GPS rerouted them constantly, but Adrian kept calm, for her sake. In the back seat, Lily winced in pain, breathing heavily. I think the baby's coming sooner than I thought," she whispered, her voice fragile and scared. Adrian glanced at her through the mirror. "Just hang on. You're not alone." She tried to respond, but could only nod as another contraction hit. Adrian turned up the heat, trying to offer some comfort while his mind raced. He had faced boardrooms, hostile takeovers, and billion-dollar decisions, but nothing prepared him for this. Then, suddenly, Lily whispered something that caught him off guard. "You look familiar." Adrian's heart skipped. "I used to live around here, a long time ago." "What's your name?" she asked, in between breaths. Adrian Cole. Lily's eyes widened. "The Adrian Cole? The billionaire?" He hesitated, then nodded. Tears streamed down her face. "My mom used to tell me stories about you. How you bought your first laptop selling lemonade here. How you came back once to fix up the playground." Adrian smiled faintly. "Your mom?" "Jessica Wills. She was a nurse, used to volunteer at the shelter you funded." Adrian's face softened. "Jessica? I remember her. She once stayed up all night taking care of my mom when she collapsed. Wouldn't take $1 for it." Lily nodded, choking back emotion. "She passed away last year. I've been on my own since." The weight of her words hit him. He wasn't just helping a stranger. He was helping the daughter of someone who had once changed his life. They were nearing the hospital when Adrian saw a flashing roadblock sign, flooding ahead. The hospital was unreachable. He cursed under his breath and turned the car around, trying another route. Lily cried out again, louder this time. "We're not going to make it," she gasped. Adrian's eyes darted around, searching. That's when he saw a red cross glowing in the distance. A small community clinic, barely lit, likely running on backup power. He swerved toward it, praying they could help. As he pulled up, a nurse ran outside, surprised to see them. "We're understaffed and half our systems are down," she warned. "She's having a baby," Adrian said urgently. "Please, help her." The nurse guided them inside. Lily was wheeled to a small delivery room. Adrian followed behind, not leaving her side. He held her hand through the pain, whispering calm words, his expensive suit soaked and forgotten. And as the cries of a newborn finally echoed through the stormy night, Adrian felt something break open in him. Not guilt, not pride, but gratitude. But Adrian paced outside the small clinic room, his soaked dress shoes squeaking on the tiled floor. The sterile scent of antiseptic clung to the air, and thunder rolled in the distance like a quiet drumbeat to the moment that had just unfolded. Inside that tiny room, under a flickering ceiling light and the care of a short-staffed nurse, Lily had given birth. And Adrian had witnessed it all. He'd held her hand as she screamed through the pain. He'd whispered to her when she begged to give up. And when the child finally arrived, pink, wailing, alive, he had cried too, not out of fear, not out of relief, but because for the first time in years, he felt something more than just success. He felt human. The nurse emerged from the room holding a towel-wrapped bundle. "She wants you to see her daughter," she said softly, handing the child to Adrian. His breath caught as he looked into the baby's face. So tiny, so unaware of the chaos she was born into. But she was strong. Just like her mother. Just like Jessica Wills, the nurse who once saved his mother's life and never asked for anything in return. He stepped inside the room again, where Lily lay pale but smiling on the creaky bed. "I can't believe this just happened," she whispered. "You were incredible," Adrian replied. She laughed weakly. "That makes two of us. I never thought I'd meet the man my mom used to admire so much, let alone give birth with him by my side." Adrian sat beside her. "Your mom, she once told me something when I was a teenager and scared. She said, 'Even the richest man is poor without kindness.' I never forgot it. But I think I lost track of it somewhere." Lily's eyes shimmered. "Then maybe tonight brought it back." Adrian held the baby closer, his voice low. "I want to help you, Lily. Not out of pity, but because I owe your mom a debt I can never repay. Let me support you. A safe home, a future, not a handout, just a beginning." Lily looked stunned. "You don't have to." "I want to," Adrian said gently. "For her, for you, for this little fighter." Tears fell silently from her eyes. As the storm slowly passed outside, something else shifted in that room. A bond deeper than blood. A moment no money could buy. Adrian stood and gazed at the baby one last time before stepping away, letting mother and child rest. He didn't know what would come next. But he knew one thing. Tonight, he found more than a purpose. He found redemption. Weeks passed since that stormy night, but its memory never faded. For either of them. Adrian had returned to the clinic the next morning with a team of professionals. Lawyers, real estate agents, even a pediatrician. Not for a photo op or publicity stunt, but because something had genuinely changed inside him. That night had cracked open a part of his heart he'd sealed off long ago. Lily, now recovering in a cozy new apartment Adrian arranged for her just outside the city, found herself slowly adjusting to a life she never imagined. The apartment wasn't just beautiful. It was safe, warm, and fully furnished. The nursery alone was enough to make her cry the first time she saw it. Pastel walls, a hand-carved crib, a stuffed bear with a note tucked into its paw that read, "For the girl born in the storm." She still remembered confronting him the day she moved in. "Why are you really doing this?" she asked, holding her newborn daughter close. "No cameras? No press. Most billionaires wouldn't even stop their car that night." Adrian had smiled quietly. "Because when someone shows you a kindness you'll never forget, you don't just repay it, you pass it forward." He wasn't just funding her rent. He enrolled her in a flexible scholarship program, arranged part-time help for the baby, even brought in a counselor to help her process the trauma of abandonment, single motherhood, and sudden change. But more than any of that, he kept showing up. Once a week, Adrian would visit, sometimes just for coffee, other times to babysit while Lily studied, and sometimes simply to talk, to share things he'd never told anyone, about growing up poor, about the fear of losing his purpose, about how he'd built walls of wealth around himself so no one could see how lonely he'd become. And Lily, despite everything she'd been through, became someone he trusted. She listened. She challenged him. She reminded him of who he was before the headlines and the boardrooms. One afternoon, as he cradled the baby and made her laugh, Lily watched from the doorway, something stirring in her chest. "I named her Jess," she said quietly. He turned to her, surprised. "For your mom?" he asked. She nodded. "And for the life she helped create, even without knowing it." Adrian swallowed hard. "She would have been proud. Of you." Months turned into a year. Lily had started working part-time as a clinic assistant while pursuing her nursing degree. Adrian had returned to work, but he was different now. More involved in community projects, more human in every interaction. One day, at a charity event for single mothers, a journalist asked him what inspired his recent shift. Adrian glanced across the room, where Lily stood laughing with another young mom, baby Jess on her hip. "She reminded me," he said, "that some of the richest moments in life come from the poorest circumstances." That night had been a turning point for both of them. And as the sun set over the city skyline, casting a golden glow on their two very different lives now forever intertwined, one thing became clear. It wasn't just a baby that had been born that night. It was hope, a second chance, and the kind of love that doesn't always look romantic, but is every bit as real.